Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Mercedes and this is the Frugal Life with Mercedes. So you can tell by the title, this is going to be a little bit spicy. So I do not share money with my partner. And if you've been with me for a really long time, you know before him I was married. And before that I had another very long-term relationship. So I put husband because I always jokingly say that I have had 3 husbands. We're not going to get into that too much. I had what I consider a spiritual husband. I had a legal husband, and Brandon is my spiritual husband, and we will be legally married this summer. If y'all aren't into spiritual marriages, that's okay. I am. So we just keep rolling with that. But I have never shared money with a romantic partner. And when I say that, I mean I have never had a bank account, a credit card, a loan with me and the other person's name on it. I never have. Now, the exception is Brandon and I do have a checking account with both of our names on it. We both have a card associated with that account. And that just started when we moved in together. But my money is not direct deposited into that account, and his money is not direct deposited into that account. That account is for both of us to put money in for saving, like for the wedding or a vacation, household bills, you know, things that we split. But I don't direct deposit any money into that. Now, why I don't share money with significant others, and that might sound odd to some of you guys, and I get that like, if you can't trust somebody with money, you shouldn't be marrying them. And I agree with that. But for me, it's not about trust. It's about, one, independence. I like having control over my money, and I like for my significant other to feel like they have control, or to have control over what their money is. Now, in all 3 of those situations, we split the rent and divvied household bills. Like, one of us would pay the electric bill every month, one of us would pay the water bill, split groceries. Sometimes I would pay for date night, sometimes they would, but we keep things separate. Now, when I was legally married, we did share a cell phone plan and car insurance. He paid the cell phone and I paid the car insurance, so it all worked out. And I can tell you that between all 3 of those men, none of us, and when I say none of us, I know there wasn't 4 of us in the relationship, but you know what I mean. I never fought with any of them about money, ever. And 2 of those relationships, since I am currently not in them, ended pretty badly due to decisions that they made, but we're not here to point the fingers. Those relationships ended. And it was not over money. And I remember when I was in my early 20s, and I was in one of those relationships, and I was talking to my therapist and saying, like, I don't want to I don't feel comfortable sharing money, and her and I dove into it, and she thought maybe that my significant other was like bad with money, or like a gambler or something like that. And I said, no, I don't think that they're bad with money. I said, something is telling me that that's not right for me. And from that point, I had never met a married couple who didn't share money. I know there are some that don't, but from my personal experience, I had never met any that didn't. And basically my therapist said, which I know now, but you have to do whatever's going to work for you and for your marriage. So if it's not going to work for you to share money, have a conversation with them and make sure that they're on board. And again, when I say share money, I just mean like it's not a big pot of money where my stuff's direct deposited and theirs is, and we both are just pulling out whatever. We share as in we share the responsibilities of the home that we have together and our wants and our needs. But as far as like having it all together, I have never done that. And I remember when I had mentioned to my sisters kind of in casual that Brandon and I had a checking account, they were like, we never thought you would do that. And I was like, I never thought I would either. But it's not, I don't have anything direct deposited into it. And the reason that I'm bringing this up, guys, is because everybody's life and circumstances are all going to look different. And I do not believe that you have to share a bank account with a romantic partner, whether they be your legal spouse or the parent of your children, or if you've been together for 50 years, you do not have to share a bank account with them. And that does not mean that I am doing anything sketchy or they're doing anything sketchy. The only time I've really heard of people having separate bank accounts is if the other person is just like really terrible with money or has some sort of problem. But I can assure you that I haven't run into that. And I've been lucky enough where all three of the men involved in me and living with me and sharing a life, it was a non-issue for them. There was no argument. It was just, the first time around, we did not share money because we were living together, and, neither of us had ever lived with anybody before. And then once we realized, like, hey, this is really serious, this is going to be a serious long-term thing, we did have a discussion about money. And, at that point we were splitting bills already, and I said, I would be really comfortable with what we're doing. And he was like, yeah, I mean, we've been living together all this time and it works. We've never had an argument about money. So it worked for us. So why, if it isn't broken, why fix it? And I remember for him specifically, he grew up with his parents arguing about money a lot, and they shared money, and it was just like, why did you spend this on this? But then the other person was spending just as much on other things that the other person didn't get, and it turned into a big thing. And so that way that's resolved. Now, if sharing money is really important to you and it's a value to you, that's great. But this is for the people who maybe are not happy with their current situation as far as sharing money with their partner, or maybe you're starting a new relationship that seems like it's getting serious, or you're going to be moving in with somebody, and you have to have these financial conversations. And I am going to do another video about why you have to have financial conversations in a relationship at every stage. Brandon and I were not even official yet, and we were already talking about, do you have investments? What kind of debt do you have? What's your credit score? And that wasn't just me asking him, it was us having a dialogue to see where the other person was. And so I will get into that into another video, but that's really important to me, and that's a value to me. And all three of the men, which I've mentioned, they didn't care. Like, it's not that they didn't have an opinion, but when I was, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so for the first one, I had no idea what we were going to do, and then I kind of voiced to him that I didn't think I wanted to share one, and we had the whole conversation about it, and then I went to my therapist and was like, blah, 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 and she's like, if he's cool with it and you're cool with it, it's like, that doesn't make your relationship any less valid than people that do share a bank account. But then with my legal husband, when we were together, and Brandon, we talked about it way early in the relationship before we had a home to contribute to. And that makes it easier if you're doing it at the very beginning and you know what your boundaries are. It's a little more difficult if the relationship's already established, or maybe you guys already share a bank account. And I admit, if you've been sharing a bank account with somebody for 30 years and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I don't want to share a bank account with you anymore, or I would like to have my own bank account, you have your own, and we have one for like household stuff. That might not go over well, and I don't know what to tell you about that because I've never been in that situation. But just give it some thought, guys. Like, especially if you've got an inkling, like, hey, I'm not really feeling this, or this isn't really working for us. And I know for me, I hate to say it's a control thing because I don't view it that way. I know some people do, but I certainly do not. If Brandon went out to the store and he was swiping this and swiping that and swiping this, I keep a really detailed list of what I spend, and so does he. But when you've got another person on there just swiping the card too, I know that it would drive me crazy, and he is just as financially responsible as I am, and I think it would drive him crazy too. And he's never shared a bank account with a romantic partner. I am lucky enough where I am the first super serious relationship he has had, and I'm the first person he's lived with, so it's all new to him, and we're both on board. But I have expressed before in previous videos that I did not share a bank account with my husband at the time, and there are people that find that strange, and that's totally okay. But as I always tell you guys, personal finance is that it is personal. You do not have to explain it to your mother. You do not have to explain it to your pastor. You do not have to explain it to your best friend, your neighbor, anybody. You have to do what is best for you and your situation and your relationship. There are so many people that would benefit immensely from splitting their finances. You could have an account that's together, but if you guys are constantly arguing about money because you feel like they're taking a bigger piece of the pie than you have an opportunity to take, or they're maybe not as financially savvy, or they do a lot of frivolous spending. The bills are paid, but they're doing a lot of frivolous spending, and you're more of a saver, and there's arguments and resentments. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to keep having those arguments if a simple solution would be separating things. Okay, guys, so that is just my opinion. That is how I live my life. And like I said, I have never had an argument about money with a romantic partner. So anyway, I hope that you guys got something out of this video, and as I said, there are a few points from this video that I will be rolling into other videos. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel. If you did not know, I have an Instagram, The Frugal Life with Mercedes. Until next time, guys, bye.